Hello learners and welcome back to Constant Learners. This is the fifth video in our Excel series. In the first four videos we discussed about the Excel interface. We discussed about quick access toolbar, ribbon, how to customize them, how to customize the worksheet and how to select the multiple ways to select cells, rows, columns, tables and the complete worksheet. In this video we are discussing how we can insert one cell, one row, one column, multiple cells, rows and columns, and also in adjacent cells, rows and columns. And we are also going to see different ways to delete them. Okay. Now let's start with a cell. Now there are four different ways to insert a cell, a row or a column. Alright. We are going to see one by one each of them. The first one is, let's say I need a cell above Susan. I need to insert one cell above Susan. So I'm going to select Susan, right click, go to insert, shift cells down. I need one above Susan, alright. Okay, now Susan has moved down and I have a cell above it, an empty cell. Okay, if I need multiple empty cells, what can I do? I can simply select, let's say I need 3 cells above Sarah. Okay, I need 3 cells above Sarah. So I can select 3 cells down and right click, go to insert, shift cells down. Okay, so I have 3 cells above Sarah. Okay, let's undo this. This is the first method. We could either right click, go to insert. The second method is to go to this option here, this small triangle, insert cells. Let's say I need to shift the cells right now. So, okay, the cells have moved to the right. We have an empty column to the left of Patel. Control Z. We can also shift the entire row or the entire column. Okay, that we'll see later on. Alright. Now, if I only click on this option here, if I don't get to the drop down menu, okay, so the cells move down and I have an empty cell above it. Okay, so this is how we can insert one or multiple cells in a worksheet. Okay, now these were the two options. First one was right click and insert, or directly insert directly use this insert option in the ribbon tab. Okay, now the third option is the keyboard shortcut, wherein we just click on Control, Shift and plus and we get the option shift cells down. Okay, if I select multiple cells, again Control, Shift and plus, again I get the option shift cells right. Okay, so I've got cells here on the left side. Okay, I hope this was clear. Now this alt option is a very special option that we are going to see at the end. Okay, also F4. Let's say I've inserted a cell here, okay, and I need more cells like this. I need, let's say 5 cells. So I could simply insert one cell and click on F4. F4 just repeats the action, the previous action. Whatever we did previously, it just repeats those actions. So I inserted a cell and clicked F4 4 times. So I've got 4 more cells here. Okay. Alright. Now I have to insert a row. So simply select a row. In the previous video I have told you how we can select a row. Multiple ways we have discussed to select cells, rows and columns. So I've selected this row. Now see, whenever we insert a new row, it always comes above the selected row, right? Like for example, right now I've selected this 4th entry, Sarah Khan. So the new row will come just above this entry. Right click, insert. We've got a row above Sarah Khan. Okay, let's say I've selected this row. Okay, I need a row above this row. So I could simply click here and I'll have a row above. Another option is to get to this drop down menu, insert sheet, rows, and I've got a row above here. Okay, another option is to click Control, Shift and plus on the keyboard. I've got a new row. Okay, now if I have to insert multiple rows, let's say I need 5 rows above this 7th entry. Okay, so I'm going to select 5 consecutive rows, and see, I'm selecting 5 consecutive rows, like I'm not releasing the mouse click. Okay, the left key on the mouse, I'm clicking the left key on the mouse once, and I'm just dragging and selecting these 5 consecutive rows. This is important, that we have to click the mouse key, the left key, and then select 5 consecutive rows. Okay, and then click on insert, and you can see we've got 5 consecutive empty rows above the first entry that we selected. Okay, so this is how we can insert multiple rows. If we have to insert a column, we'll select a column. Let's say, now whenever we insert a new column, it will always come to the left of the selected column. Let's say I've selected this column C here. Okay, so the new column will come to the left. Again, there are 4 options: right click and insert. We've got a column. Second option is go to insert. Third option is drop down menu, insert sheet columns. And fourth option is Control Shift plus. Okay, so these are the 5 ways to insert columns. Okay, then if I have to insert multiple columns, I'm going to select the column. Like, let's say I need 3 columns here between last name and days of stay. I need 3 columns between last name and days of stay. So I'm going to select this column H. I'm going to keep the left key on the mouse pressed. I'm going to select 3 columns, 3 consecutive columns, and click on insert. So I've got 3 columns between last name and days of stay. Okay, this is how we can insert multiple columns in Excel. Okay, we could use any options, right? See, I've selected these 2 columns. We could either right click and insert, we could either insert from here, we could drop down and insert sheet columns, or we could click Control Shift and plus. Every ways we are going to get the same output. Okay, now we've inserted multiple cells, rows and columns. Now if I have to insert, cut or copy cells, rows and columns. Now again, there's something new here which you may or may not know. Let's say I have cut this column. Okay, and I need to insert it after date of birth. Okay, now if I paste it, what will happen? The data from here is cut and pasted here. The column has not gone, the column has not been deleted, only the content has gotten cut and pasted here. Okay, now let's say we cut this and right click, and we have an option insert cut cells. Let's see what happens in this case. When we insert cut cells, you'll see that the column is entirely gone. Not just the contents have cut, but the column entirely has been cut and it has been pasted here. Okay, so everything, the contents move to the left, right? We do not just get an empty column and the contents have not been pasted in a new column, but the column is entirely cut and it has been pasted in new position. Okay, let's cut this. Now we know that whenever we insert a new column, it comes to the left hand side of the selected column. So I need the first name between serial number and last name. So I'm going to select this column here because I need this column before the column of last name, right? I need first name before last name. So I'm going to select this column because I know that whenever I insert a new column, it always comes to the left of the selected column, and click on insert. Okay, so you can see this column is totally gone and a new column is inserted. When we insert the cut cells, see what happened here is we inserted the cut cells. When we insert the cut cells, a new column is inserted and the contents that have been cut also gets inserted. Similarly, we can also copy and insert the copied cells. In this case, this cell will this column will remain intact and a new column will also be created. Okay, so this is how we insert cut copied cells, rows and columns. It's the same for the cells also. Now let's say I select these cells here. I am cutting these cells, Control X, and I need this data here, and I need these cells to be totally gone. So I'm going to insert cut cells. Okay, so everything moved to the left and the data is pasted. Okay, what is happening here? See, I'm cutting these three cells, and let's say I need these three cells after the date of birth. So I'm going to insert cut cells after the date of birth, and you see everything moves to the left and we get these three cells, the last names, after the date of birth. Okay, and similarly for the rows also, let's say I am selecting these rows. Let's copy them. Let's paste them here, or sorry, insert copied cells here. Okay, so see, if I have inserted these cells, that is why this data has gone down and we've got new cells wherein we have this data. If I had just pasted, what will happen? See, when I pasted, the content here has gone totally, right? The new rows have not been inserted here, just the data has been pasted here. The data from these rows have been pasted in these rows, and whatever data was here, it has totally gone. It has been overwritten. Okay, see, when I click Control Z, I've got my data back. Okay, so this is the difference between cutting, copying and pasting, and cutting, copying and inserting the cut or copied cells, rows or columns. Okay, I hope you've understood the difference. Now next is to insert in adjacent rows and columns and cells. Now in the previous video we discussed how we can select in adjacent cells, rows and columns by pressing the Control key. If I press Control key and I select the cells, then all of those cells will get selected, the random in adjacent cells. If I press the Control key and select in adjacent rows, those rows will get selected. And if I press the Control key and select in adjacent columns, those columns will get selected. Alright. Now, if I have to insert cells, let's say I have to insert a cell above Susan, I have to insert a cell above Patel, I have to insert a cell above Monisha. Susan, Patel and Monisha. Right click, insert, shift cells down. Okay. Okay, so I have a cell above Susan, above Patel and above Monisha. Okay, that is how we can insert multiple cells in adjacent cells. Okay, now if I have to insert multiple in adjacent rows, I am going to press Control and select the rows above which I need rows. Let's say I need a row above Susan Thomas, above Meenal Patel and above Monisha Sarabhai. Okay, I'm just going to select those rows while pressing the Control key and insert. See, I've got a row above Susan, above Meenal and above Monisha. Okay. Similarly, for columns, I'm going to select the columns while pressing the Control key, click on Insert. So I have a column before last name and before date of birth. Okay. Now I have to tell you an important trick that you might or might not be knowing. Let's say I selected this column B. Now, while pressing Control key, I am selecting D and E together. Okay, I'm not selecting them separately. I'm selecting D and E together. So that was multiple selection. I cannot have multiple selections. I'm selecting D and E together. We know, we discussed what happens when we select columns together. Okay, that means I'm clicking it just once, clicking the mouse once and selecting both of these columns simultaneously. Now I'm clicking the Control key and I'm selecting the column B. And now let's insert. See what happened. Before the first name, I've got one column, of course, because I had selected this single column. But these two columns I had selected simultaneously. That is why before the days of stay, I'm getting two columns. Okay, Control Z. Now I am going to tell you the last and final thing, that is to delete cells, rows and columns. So again, there are four options. Just like there were four options to insert cells, rows and columns, there are four options to delete cells, rows and columns. The first one is First, let's insert the cells. Okay, so let's say I have this cell here and I have to delete it. First option is right click, delete. Shift cells up. Okay, the cell is deleted. Second option is, sorry, I clicked on insert, delete, and it got deleted. Okay, third option is control and minus. When we click control and minus, the column or the cell or the row gets deleted. Okay, let's say I have to delete this row here, 6th entry. So I'll just click control minus and the row gets deleted. Okay, that is how we can delete the cells, rows and columns. Now before we end this video, let's get to our final shortcut that we've left for the end. This is a special feature of Excel. In Excel, we do not need to remember the shortcuts. Rather, we can say that Excel helps us to create our shortcuts. Okay, see, let's say I have to insert a row above this Meenal Patel. Okay, and I don't want to use the mouse or this insert option here or control shift plus. What can we do is we just click on Alt. When we click on Alt, you can see these alphabets here. We know that insert option is in the home tab and the shortcut for home is H. So we click on H. Now we have to go to insert. The shortcut for insert is I. Okay, and I have to insert a row. So for sheet rows, the shortcut is R, and I've got the row. Let's say I need a cell above Monisha. Okay, again I'm going to click Alt, H, I, and I have to insert a cell. So I is the shortcut for cells. Okay, I need to shift the cells down. Okay, let's say I need to insert a column before last name. So we're going to select the column, control space bar, Alt, H, I. For columns, we have the shortcut C, and I've got a column here. Okay, so this is how we can insert cells, rows and columns. I hope all of these options, all of these methods were clear to you. I hope my explanation was clear to you. If you have any doubts, any queries, you can always write them in the comment section below. The next video is going to be very, very special. It's going to be more challenging. And if you wish to learn more in Excel, if you wish to learn tips and tricks in Excel, then please stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching.